Dean.
What's up?
I was looking on OfferUp this week, and I found a listing from 4 months ago, right? And I messaged the guy. I'm like, hey, do you still have this thing? Because I'm like a solid 1 for 12 on OfferUp. Like, people don't take their listings down. Like, I mean, you just never know, right?
All the time. Or they just stop, like, using their account.
You never know. Yeah, I still have it. Great. Wow, what a steal. And so I'm like, okay, I just want to make sure it's sealed, like everything's good. Yep, everything's great. Awesome. I was like, well, I have a pretty busy work schedule this week. Can we meet up Friday or Saturday? And he's like, no holds, message me back Saturday.
It's been on for 4 months.
But I'm like, bro, 4 months, no one's bought it. It's like half retail. Like, you finally have someone expressing interest. Am I in the wrong here, Dean, to be upset? Like, just a little bit annoyed?
No, especially with how old that is. That's an old listing.
Because it's not even like I haven't yet not offered to pay. That's what bothered me. Like, if you would have said, like, hey, like, I can meet you Saturday. You just got to pay now or pay half or whatever. No problem, right? But right off the rip, like, message me back Saturday. What the fuck is that, bro? That's not how you sell an item to a
Can you imagine how
buyer.
many people? Can you imagine how many people has messaged him in 4 months though?
Probably none, because if it has, I mean, if Lego is half retail and it hasn't sold yet, bro, I don't know, man. That's
It's about Lego. Forget about it.
What set is it?
It's.
Oh, you can message me.
Yeah, I'll message you. I'm basically buying it for the minifigs. I know it's retiring
secrets.
soon, and I just don't want to miss out on the official minifigs.
Yeah.
But it's like, bro, 4 months, bro.
Have you considered that maybe he's been holding it for someone this whole time and now he's kind of fed up? He's like, I can't anymore.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Wow.
How do I become your special someone?
There you go.
Wow.
Are you an angel?
What?
An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about them. They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe.
Hello there. We are tonight's entertainment.
We would be honored if you would join us.
He's got a billion toys.
You brought in the doll collection.
These are not dolls, Jim. These are commodities. Same as gold or oil.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
You are now listening to the Collecting Weekly podcast.
Shall we lock in the artillery power?
This is the true form of floor gang right here. Very nice. YouTube.com/collectingweekly. Thank you very much. That's very cool. Big.
Hey guys, my name is Zach.
I'm Dean.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Marco.
And I'm Ben Thomas.
I hate to hear it. Welcome to this week's episode of Collecting Weekly. It's a weekly podcast where my friends and I talk about the things that matter the most to us this week in collecting.
That's right. We want to thank our friends over at 1/6 Corner for sponsoring this week's episode of Collecting Weekly. Guys, don't forget to use code CW10. That's capital C, capital W, 10 during our live recording for 10% off all in-stock items over there. So visit 16corner.com.
We have a great show for you guys tonight. We have some new Hot Toys stuff to talk about, some new third-party stuff to talk about, and we not only have one discussion topic, Dean, not two. We have 3 discussion topics for tonight. We're jam-packed, and I'm excited to get in the woods with it. But Dean, before we talk about any of that, we have a very special segment that all the best shows start with.
Yeah, you guys ready?
Yes.
It's new this week.
Yeah. What did you get new this week, guys? I got a special package today.
You weren't supposed to tell anyone about that.
Yesterday. Arrived yesterday. From listener of the show, Michael Mann, sent me the McFarlane, the Batman, or as he said, Vengeance. I was like, hey man, Batman arrived. He's like, Vengeance arrived. I was like, you're not wrong. He never calls himself Batman in the movie. He always says Vengeance. So,
wow. Oh, what the hell? He was so excited he launched. What happened?
He fell and hit the space bar and
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, the great figure. I kind of want to redo the cape.
Bro, don't do it.
Yeah, I might not, but he just like can't really sit on the motorcycle all that well with the cape on. Like it's kind of. But I mean, other than that, it's a fantastic figure. The articulation is way better than I thought it was going to be. I have the Dark Knight McFarlane one, and like he doesn't really have a whole lot of articulation like from the waist down. Like you can't really get his legs out in front of him. But this one can. I was shocked that he can like do like a full front kick. Yeah, fantastic figure. I really, really, really like it.
Mario says Dean's a Batman guy now. Bro, you miss so much, Mario. Dean's like Batman's biggest fan, bro.
He's always kind of been a Batman guy, though, if we're being honest.
Closet fan.
So let's calm down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, super happy to have this. I was looking at some other stuff in the mail, but it did not show up. But I did get this one's I'm really excited for from Rainer. He's still giving me birthday gifts, which is crazy.
Wow.
June from Halo Reach.
Uh-huh.
And
what the fuck, Rainer? I told you I
George.
needed George. How dare you?
Well, I had asked him a long time ago.
Well, I asked him before, so I mean, you weren't even collecting.
you
well,
didn't.
I mean,
Dean,
I did.
Dean is the favorite.
That's fucked
Thank
up.
you, John.
That's fucked up. Not to me.
To be fair, Zach, he had sold the first one he had. I was like, bro, I needed that. And he was like, oh, fine.
Rainer, you're dead to me, bro.
No.
Actually, no, you're not. He's hooking me up with a Lego Beskar keychain, so we
Yeah,
Gucci, bro.
so now I only need, what's the commander's name?
You don't even
Remember
deserve it. You don't even deserve it. You don't even know their names, bro. Carter.
That's what I thought it was, but I was like, because
No, that's
I have
Captain.
Cat and Emil. Well, Rainer has them, but they're mine. He just has them in storage, and we have.
Rainer, my birthday's in June. Don't forget.
He had also gotten me the
Noble 6.
Noble 6, yeah.
Wow.
And he also got me Palmer. I had shown this off a long time ago.
Jesus Christ. He makes me pay for my things. My goodness.
Yeah. So that's all I got this week. Super excited to finish the Halo Reach line. I don't know when Carter's coming out. He's not out yet. So yeah.
Very
that was
cool.
me. What about you guys?
Real quick, checking with chat. We got Toy Mafia 123, Thor 123 Gaming, Sweet Angel, Ben Thomas Show, Badfish, Erwin, Equan, Lane Kramer, Shauna, Sweet Angel, The Queen, Stephanie, Ninja Squirrel, John, the Everyday Collector, Gigi. Just stopping to say hi, getting ready to fail another exam. How dare you, Equan?
Wow.
All you got to do is swallow a big nut to have a special someone. You'll hate to see it. Boogie, Manny, Mojo, Z78. We also have Scott Bradley. What up, Big Peps? Sean Usby, Mario the Professor, and Tukatri in the chat. Gigi says, think there's some quote, you live long enough to see yourself become the bad guy or something like that, at Dean liking the Batman.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's a solid joke, bro. Damn, that was good.
Lane, I'm waiting to see if I can get. He said, "Did I finally put together my Lego Luke?" I'm waiting to see if I get the kitchen set because I want to put them together. We also have David Jones. Marco, you got something new this week also. What'd you get?
Yeah, so I got the Jedi Fallen Order. This is the Cal Kestis lightsaber from Disneyland. Now, I think Mario and Eddie, since they were kind of with us, most of the days there, saw how I really agonize over purchases. Like, these are, I think, like $165 or $175. So not an insignificant amount of money, but like from day one when we got there, I checked this out and I was like, up until like right on the last day, right before we were about to leave. And like I tried them all out and held all the different lightsabers in my hand. And that sounds a little bit interesting, but yeah, this one was ultimately like, I loved the option to kind of display with the battle damage. You can link two of them together if you want to. And I think it just like looks beautiful and feels really premium in your hand. So really happy I didn't end up sleeping and passing on this one.
Congratulations. Now this one, I've seen people It looks like 2 combined. So is there an attachment in the box where you can combine 2, or is that like a different saber?
So there's an attachment, and when we were there, Sean actually picked up a second one of these so he can put them together. So he could probably show us, what it looks like with 2. But it basically comes with this battle damaged piece at the end that you can screw off, and then that's right, Mario. Wow. And then you can have another attachment to link them together. So it's a really sweet piece and just like interesting silhouette of a saber.
Gotcha. Sean always makes fun of me for this. Yeah, she always says go ahead, Zach.
Ben also won't make a purchase without heavily hesitating.
Oh God, it's
not like my friend.
Well, that and for me, weight. It's all about the weight, right? So like when we first moved into our house, I was like, oh wow, the floor, it feels like it's good quality, like it feels heavy, and then whenever I get like a new like an Iron Man or something, I pick it up, I'm like, oh yeah, like the weight of it, like it's good quality. And so now if it's a good quality, it's weighted. So I love the fact that you mentioned that it was heavy.
Absolutely.
How do you measure the weight of the floor?
It just feels, I'm still a big boy, so like if I jump up on the floor.
Feel sturdy, maybe.
He did a handstand on the roof to really feel the weight.
That's right.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing, bro. John, Ben, do you guys have anything new this week?
Just a new smile.
Wow. Looking good, John. Looking very good. I actually went to the dentist today. Fucking worst 40 minutes of my life. I hate the dentist.
That was your experience. Imagine for the dentist.
Wow, even though we got a new dentist in my dental office, the sweetest lady I've ever met. Oh my gosh. I want to go back just to for a routine
checkup. Did you give her a sticker?
Oh, I should have. John, you're fucking on the ball today. I had 2 new this week, so shout out to Zach DeHoyos from the Alamo Stash Bin. Gave me the heads up that Walmart restocked the Shock Troopers, which is pretty shocking, no pun intended, because my Walmart has had the same 4 Black Series Landos and like 12 vintage collection Landos for probably at least a year now. And I was looking to purchase these, and on the secondary market they're quite expensive, so I tried to go to the Alamo Stash Bin, which is our local toy group, to get a deal, and I was told that they had hit back in stock, and sure enough they were there for retail, free shipping. Walmart has a free 2-day shipping option, so that was really sweet. And I picked up a pair, and I had them on the shelf, and I was like, these look really good, but in the bad batch, they're actually pretty dirty, which is weird because they're from Coruscant, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I just hit them with a little bit of black acrylic paint, gave them a little bit of a wash, and damn, Hasbro's sculpting and paintwork is so fucking good. Like, I mean, it really brought the sculpts to life, and I'm definitely excited to have a pair of these in the collection. I also have Admiral Rampart coming. That figure is kind of interesting. It's kind of a really lazy figure by Hasbro because it's a repaint of Tarkin, which makes sense, but the rank bar is totally different, so kind of annoying. But I was able to get him for below retail shipped, which means the guy made like no money off of it. And then the next thing I got, Victoria was nice enough to buy me this. The pieces for a Lego Iron Giant. Now, big fan of the Iron Giant. If you watch our channel, you've seen quite a few Iron Giant videos, and I was on Bricklink, and I was like, I wonder if anyone has made an Iron Giant on Rebrickable. And sure enough, there was a few designs, and this was the one that I think was the best one. The pieces were super cheap. The build itself was really, really well done, and I took it to my local Lego store because I was missing one piece. The guy had sent me, it was like a very similar piece, but it was the wrong one, and I was able to find the piece in their bulk bin, and this figure caused a ruckus in the store. Like, everyone was taking pictures of it. Like, people just love the Iron Giant. Like, it's one of those characters that I think, if you haven't seen the film, I think you'd love it, but most people just have a really strong affinity for it. And I mean, it was like quite distracting, to be honest. And I was kind of scared it was gonna get stolen because everyone was like touching it and everything. It was kind of freaking me out. But yeah, it's a great figure. I'm trying to do a video on it, but I just absolutely hate making content, Dean. It's so difficult to like not, and I'm saying this totally being serious, I fucking hate making pre-produced videos. I'd much rather do it live. So I don't know if that's ever going to come on. I had this great idea to do this series.
Live content isn't real content. So.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I'm not used to making content.
If you had any talent.
We'll do it live. Okay. No. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
Dude,
It was good.
I'm almost wanting to just do a live review of it because I shot video and I was like, man, like, this shit's not fun. Like, if you don't have the setup for it, like, and I guess people that do what we do, that don't have the equipment, probably feel the same way. It's like when you don't have the right stuff, everything's just 10 times more difficult.
Yeah, they're completely different setups.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I don't know. I shot the video. I edited it, and I'm just kind of like waiting to see if it's worth posting. I just got to do the voiceover, but it was really nice because at Bricks and Minifigs they have these tables. If you guys aren't familiar, you can build a minifig. So they'll have 4 or 5 different sections of the table. So they'll have like hats / hair, faces, bodies, legs, and then accessories. And I was able to put together like a pretty decent looking Hogarth from the pieces in the table. And it's always fun to go with Vivi because she likes to put together fig, and it's like buy 3 for $10. So Victoria put one together. But it was definitely a fun little experience. And yeah, Iron Giant and Lego is honestly one of the coolest Lego things I've ever built. And
that's a real set, or
no? So this is a mock. So someone you buy the instructions and you buy the parts. They're made with Lego bricks, so everything's, legitimate Lego.
Right.
But it's not. It was actually, this design was submitted twice to Lego Ideas, and it did hit the threshold for consideration to become a set, but it didn't become a set. I think it's because the whole theme of the film is like, can a gun, like what if a gun doesn't want to be a gun? And I think Lego's kind of not really doing the whole gun
all
thing.
my guns love being guns. That's crazy.
You hate to see it.
Real quick though.
Yes.
Now, the picture you have taken here is inside the Lego Bricks and Minifigs shop?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you buy this, or you built this and like took it there? I'm confused. I thought you said you
okay.
built
So
it.
I needed one part. I'm really good friends with the guy that owns the store and one of the managers. So I just wanted to show it to him because it's cool. Like whenever I do mocks, I usually kind of bring them in to show them. But I also wanted to make sure I got the exact part that I needed because I didn't want to drive 20 minutes there, get one piece for like 1 cent, and then go home and it's the wrong fucking piece.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, I know 100% what I need, but I'm going to take it there just in case. And like I said, when I brought it out there, it's like a celebrity, bro. I felt like a celebrity. It's awesome.
Wow.
How tall did you say it is, Zach?
This is about 12 inches tall, and when you put his arms side to side, like out, it's like 18 inches wide. It's pretty big.
This is a great shot, by the way, with the guy on the bottom. Like, that's perfect.
Is that Rusty on the bottom?
How dare you?
Is it Rust?
You fake fan.
I'm
just kidding.
I don't even like that movie, and I know that.
What the fuck? You like guns. Why wouldn't you like the Iron Giant?
He doesn't want to be a gun.
Ah, I see.
No thanks. Please. No thanks. A little one. Yeah, no thanks.
We have a new Hot Toys to talk about. Hot Toys Electro 285, releasing July to December 2023. Obviously, we've known this was going to be solicited for a while. I think they kind of hinted pretty heavily that we're going to get some of the Rogues Gallery from No Way Home. And I think the portrait looks fantastic. I know, Marco, you mentioned the effects are probably going to suck, and I think you were pretty much on the nose there. I think the cut and sew looks really good, but overall, this just seems like such a boring figure for $285. You get almost no accessories, and to be honest, like I don't know that there's a better way they could have done it, but the electrical effects, especially on the face, just don't look particularly good.
I think what John said on After Dark last week, like they had to give you another sculpt with it, right? Because this isn't working.
Yeah, I completely agree. Dean, what do you think about this? You're on mute.
Can you go back to the picture where he's one more? Okay, this one. I'm confused. The picture on the left, he's wearing like a exosuit, and the braces are down by his ankles. But in the picture to the right, they're like just below his knee, but his leg is straight out here. So I don't understand what's happening. Does it sag?
Yeah, I think when it looks like they articulate the legs, so it brings them up a bit.
No, that leg, both these, his
but
his right leg.
It's like this though, and then when you bend the hip, it makes the length from the hip to the leg longer.
Oh, I guess it looks.
I get what you're saying, Dean. That's a significant way to travel right there.
Crazy how nature do that.
Yeah, it's weird looking. Anyway, you're incredibly accurate. This looks so boring. I mean, it looks straight out of the movie. So if you're going for accuracy, they nailed it. I just think it's a boring design. I mean, not that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a great design. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't know if they've done Electro justice anywhere. It's fine if you want to complete the line. I think it's a nice figure, but it's not for me. It doesn't capture any kind of imagination. Because even like with like the Whiplash figure, like it's cool looking, right? Like the torn like prisoner suit and the exoskeleton is like actually like all over the place. This is kind of like a vest with some wires that hang down. I don't know. It's just boring to me. But I think the head sculpt is shrink ray. At least this, right? It's a prototype. We'll see how it looks when it comes out. But yeah, it's missing. I don't know what it's missing, but it's missing it.
I think they nailed the figure. Overall, the portrait and the outfit that we're getting, the whole costume and everything that comes with, I think they nailed the figure representation-wise of the character. The only part that's lacking is they could have added a little bit more innovation to the electrifying effect, whether adding some LED strips or something, especially that face part. Yeah, that's like I just don't like the way that it comes across on the figure. But the outfit, you got the boots, everything else, the portrait, bang on. Whether it's worth $285 or not, I think we're starting to sound like parrots repeating ourselves every week. We're hitting the price point of $285 as the base benchmark. So we got to get used to that, because when it comes to accessories, this is of course a lackluster release, but it's $285. I think that's going to be the new benchmark, between $265 and $285. That's where we're going to be. But other than that, for an Electro figure, I don't know what else you can ask for.
Yeah, I think this is a terrific Jamie Foxx figure, right? Like overall, the likeness is there. I love all the tailoring, and I think Dean said it's a boring figure because it really is, right? It's just a guy in clothes. And if you don't have like electric effects that are really like impactful or like have a big wow factor, and these plastic bits, whether it's like Thor or whoever has them, never really do much for me. So like John said, like some type of innovation would have been really great. They're asking for $285. I understand, but we need to see like something that could wow us. As John mentioned on After Dark last week, if you gave us a separate head sculpt with like this sculpted on like the Electro mask pieces, it could have made the figure like really a wow for me. Like, okay, like we got two head sculpts. I see the value there. As it is, like this is definitely feels like a bargain bin one that you'd wait on. And if you need a Jamie Foxx in the collection, you can swoop it up eventually for hopefully around $250. But yeah, just not good enough at this point, in my opinion.
You guys have hotter takes than I expected. I was expecting more fan service on this one. I like this figure. I probably won't bring it to my collection just because I'm not necessarily collecting all the Spider-Man villains. But I do think that for as cool as like the headpiece that they were trying to make this for, like for the head sculpt, I'd be a little bit worried about scratching the paint on him. And because the face sculpt is so good, like that's I think the best part of this whole figure. That's the last thing I would want to use for kind of a gimmicky piece.
Exactly, Ben.
Yeah, and so is it bad that the first time I saw this figure, I immediately thought, now I can make a Django Unchained kit bash? I love Django. I love that movie.
Yes.
This is a great head sculpt for it, right? But I don't want to necessarily pay $285.
The present toys head sculpt is amazing. What are you talking about, bro? You're killing me.
I know. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. The Present Toys one was pretty good. I had missed it. I think at like back when it came out, right? So I think that's for me. I'm still like newer to the collecting, I think. So, but at the end of the day, I do think this actually looks pretty good. I do like the tailoring on it. I think the outfit looks pretty cool. This representation of this character I liked a lot more than the Amazing Spider-Man 2 version of him, in the blue and the kind of the weird face. He looked more like a Star Trek villain in that movie than what I would have envisioned Electro to look like. So I won't probably pick this up, not unless it hits kind of a deeper sale, or I'll use this guy to kit bash a couple of options.
You guys mentioned it twice, but do you think that this, I mean, Hot Toys don't necessarily shelf warm, but there's certainly some that really hit a deep discount on certain retailers. Do you think this is a figure that's going to shelf warm, in your opinion? I have to think so at $285 bare bones with really gimmicky features.
It feels like it's Zach, and the Marvel figures have been trending more towards sitting for a long time. So this feels like one that I'm seeing a lot of people saying it's amazing, it looks great. I won't argue that the Jamie Foxx sculpt looks great, but beyond that, like I don't see why everyone's saying it's so terrific. Like I definitely think you could swoop this one up for a discount. Can we get you on the solo?
I was gonna say you got a full screen that, Zach.
Look at that, amazing, bro.
That's
I love
sweet.
this figure so much. In fact.
That actually is a really good sculpt, and especially in person, I think that you said Present Toys. Yeah, I think they nailed it.
Damn, that actually looks amazing, dude.
Because Zach had one. Zach had one.
Don't fucking talk about it, bro.
Bro. He was so excited. Who made that, Zach? Do you remember? He was so excited about
Caustic
this
Plastic.
And it was so bad. And no fault of Zach, but we roasted the fucking shit.
Dude, I
out
literally
of it.
threw that figure away. It literally was in the dumpster like an hour later. I spent like so much money. It was in the dumpster, bro.
That's the saddest thing I've ever heard.
Dude, it was hilarious, dude. It was worse than his Black Panther Iron Man.
We'll talk about that later too.
Bro. Yeah, so when he got this, he was really excited, and like, honestly, no bad things to say. That's a great figure.
That is a great figure. Yeah, I totally forgot about that one.
It's really good. Now, up next, staying with the Spider-Man theme, the Premier Toys Reptilian. Now, there's two versions. One is on TNS for $150. The other one is $289. They're both releasing May 2022. Now, the one $50 version gets you the I think it's Dr. Connors in the lab suit. You get one of the reptile arms, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I mean, I get it, but I think if you're going for this display, I mean, I guess he's half transformed, but I think it would have been better if they. No.
Yeah, remember he's missing an arm.
Yeah, he's missing an arm. That's what I'm saying. But
in
like,
the
it's
in the
weird
film,
that they give you the half transformed. I feel like people would either have the full transformed or the not transformed at all.
Oh,
like I can't see anyone buying the half transformed version.
In the film, he shows his regenerated human hand to Peter, and then starts to transform in front of him and starts to peel the skin off, and it becomes the lizard hand, which is what you're seeing here. So it is actually representative of the film. 100%.
But do you think anyone would buy that for $150 when you could get
not necessarily
when you can get this version here for $289? And I guess if you guys want to talk about either or, we can go back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like completely untransformed would be a better option than like midway. Because yeah, you're right. I'd rather, if I'm stuck between the two options, I'd rather just get the full-on lizard man. So
I think I feel exactly how Shauna feels right here. Just Jesus. Looks terrible.
Now, $289, I did see some complaints in the groups about the price point for this figure, but you have to realize that this is pretty much all new sculpts, and it's probably quite of a large figure.
Yeah.
So I don't hate the price point. Like, $150 for this, where all you're doing is getting a cut and sew and then a different right arm, in a portrait, you're slapping on a generic body, where the shoes are probably stock and the pants are probably stock. I could see that, but $289 for this, I don't think it's too bad. I don't know that, with Doc Ock, with Electro, and the Goblin coming out. I mean, I guess there's probably gonna be some people that want this as well, filling that niche that Hot Toys won't. But I just feel like he wasn't that important from what I remember in No Way Home, and I've only seen it once, so maybe I'm wrong. But
yeah, he disappears for like most of the movie.
I mean, I guess if Nicole makes a great point, if you're pairing it with the Amazing Spider-Man figure, that might be a better option. That makes.
Do you think this would hold up
perfect
against
sense.
displayed next to a Hot Toy though? Like it just doesn't feel like
I think
it's
so.
nearly
Great
the same quality.
I think so. I mean, it's better than if completing a shelf is your focus, it's better than not having it. I think. Obviously, if Hot Toys made this, do I think it would be better? 100%. I also don't think it would be $289. That's a great question, but I think there's plenty of customs or third-party things that look as good, if not better, than Hot Toys figures.
Yeah, you could go over it with a wash if it looks too plasticky, and there's definitely things you could do.
Hit it with like a satin coat, because lizards are like that. The texture of their skin is usually a little bit moist.
I kind of wish they would have shown it next to a regular 6-scale figure to really get the size of it. Because if it's too big, it's going to look real goofy. And if it's too small, it's like, well, why even spend that kind of money? So
42 centimeters. So it's about...
Is that 16 inches?
A little bit over a foot, yeah. So it's actually a pretty large figure.
So like the Venom or bigger than the Venom? Because I feel
probably
like he's
Venom, a little bit bigger than Venom.
About the Kingpin size, or
he's pretty big in the movie. When he fights Spider-Man in the school, he's fucking huge. Like when he's holding him up, he's a pretty big dude.
Someone posted a photo of him next to a watermelon, and I can't unsee that. So
I see that, John.
Someone posted the portrait next to a watermelon, and it's identical.
I mean, it kind of looks like a Goomba from the Super Mario movie. But,
oh my god!
Yes.
Holy shit, it does.
Spot on.
Wow.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Yes,
Apologies to this.
Something about that always haunted me, and you fucking just like unearthed it. That's exactly.
Oh no!
Holy shit, he does, dude.
There is some cool detail here in the neck and stuff like that. So there's definitely one I'd be interested to see in hand photos of, but it's not giving off the great first impression. Also with like this weird Photoshop font, looks awful.
Jesus, that's like Microsoft Word.
Now you're discriminating their talent, their artistic talent.
That's right. I'm just being a big time.
That's what we do on the show, bro. That's what we do on the show.
Yeah, I don't think fucking graphics are their main concern here, but it does look kind of goofy.
I do think the big reptilian or the lizard looks better than this guy. This guy looks a little on the cheap side, but he is kind of cheap. So like when I first gave you guys the price, I was concerned that it was the wrong price. It almost seemed too low at the 150 price point that we found. But I do think that the big reptilian, I think I saw that he's like 16 inches, right? Or 42 centimeters. So that is going to be pretty big for most people's display. And I'd be worried that if the paint wash on him does look a little cheap, that he would look like a cheap Walmart toy. So next to a Hot Toys, like Marco asked, I mean, it's hard to know, right? But this is kind of what he looked like in the film, though. I will give them that. I think that the sculpting for the face on this guy is actually pretty close to the CGI likeness of the actor or the character. So I think that's pretty cool. And I like that he comes with the tattered lab coat and stuff like that. So I think if I was going to choose either of the options, it would be this guy. I loved the one promo image that they had where he's kind of back to back with himself and his hand is dangling down. Just the worst imagery you can imagine for a lizard man. But yeah, no, this wouldn't come to my collection, but I think it's still kind of cool to look at. I don't know. It's cool that they're trying. And I know that there was a lot of 1/6 collectors out there that were hoping that Hot Toys would make this. So I think it's going to still fill the niche for a lot of people.
Now, it's going to be interesting if/when Hot Toys makes this, how, obviously I think Hot Toys will be better, but if it actually is better, and what price point it'll be, and how it'll affect the sales of this figure, or if it's just canceled altogether. So I think we're kind of right in that sweet spot right now with No Way Home, where they're kind of been hitting us with like every other week, every third week announcements. So I would say in a month or two, if it's not up and this is still available for pre-order and you really need this character, I think that would probably be a good time to swing it. But don't take my advice. make your own decisions. Now, Hot Toys, I appreciate all the communication stuff that we're getting with Hot Toys, but I honestly just think that they're kind of clueless, to be honest. They put up a post celebrating the 20-year anniversary of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, with this teaser image. Bob Dylan on our Facebook group was quick to Photoshop and increase the brightness and I think the contrast, and it revealed that it was the sequel trilogy C-3PO, which makes not a ton of sense with the 20th anniversary of Episode 2 announcement.
Prequel.
And prequel, sorry. Yes. Well, no, the figure that they showed was the sequel trilogy C-3PO with the red arm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about this one.
This is this one I'm talking about. And it was shown at a convention, I guess, by Toys TV. And I think this is, it says Ami Ami here on the watermark. And it's definitely the red arm.
This is not the red arm one.
This is a red arm right there. What are you talking about?
He has that in Episode 2.
This is not the red arm one, yeah.
He has a red arm in Episode 2?
Yeah, it's all rusty. It's not
no,
red.
There's a red
gross.
arm one. There's a red arm one from the sequels, and there's this one. This is not the red arm one. They showed us the red arm one a couple years ago at a con.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like fully gold.
Yeah, and that's not this one.
You would
Everyone
was.
Do your homework.
I was about to press the button. God damn it. I'm so lost. Yeah, I thought this was the red arm version. Everyone was complaining about it, and I guess I linked the red arm Photoshop from this to this as well. But
I was still pretty confused, Zach.
I mean, I guess what do you guys think?
I think a lot of people still are, to be honest.
Mark Pearson said he renewed his membership. Dean, what do you think about this announcement?
It's trash. This is trash.
Jesus.
If you're gonna release C-3PO, it's taking you this long to fucking do it, and it's the one from Episode 2, like the second. Well, it's not anymore. I was gonna say the second worst Star Wars movie. I get it. It's the 20th anniversary of the movie, but oh, come on. Like, who? I guess there's a lot of people that grew up with the prequels that are now collectors. People our age that were, 10, 11 when Episode 1 came out. So they have a nostalgic spot in their heart for the prequels. But how is the first C-3PO you released not an original trilogy C-3PO?
The only way it would make sense is if they couldn't get the paint right, but I've got this Golden Armor Wonder Woman who seems like not that far off. So it feels like they've got the tech to do it, right?
Yeah, it's just... I don't know. I was on a Will Fox Vacation stream the other day, and they were saying that a lot of people were really excited. I haven't come across any of them. Most everybody I talk to in my circle or in the Patreon chat or wherever, everyone's like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm not picking this up. I'm just gonna wait. And enough people just wait. This thing's not gonna sell, and then Hot Toys is gonna have no incentive to fucking make another C-3PO.
Exactly.
I mean, they could, get the message, be like, oh, okay, this isn't the one they want, but they could also be super petty and be like, well, we're not fucking making it because you didn't buy our product, which is entirely possible. I don't know, but I don't like it. He's like this for like one fucking movie. It's like, bro, who?
Look,
I don't know. I have no good things to say about this.
I gotta play. Hang on, I gotta play one clip real quick.
A man can only admit when he was wrong and ask forgiveness.
Dude, I got totally bamboozled by that Photoshop. God damn it, Bob Dylan.
When I say we, a lot of people in the community, years they've been going off. Oh, we got R2. We don't have C-3PO. Blah blah blah. Look, you're gonna have people complain about everything. Doesn't matter. Even if they gave us the OT, you're gonna have someone complain about it. We take it one step at a time. Like you guys always tell me, it's a business. It's a flipping business. They're not gonna go give you the dessert before the meal. They're gonna give you the OT one, and then why give you the OT one when they're gonna give you this one first? You're gonna order this one, and then you'll order the sequel one, and then you order the OT one. It's a business.
Right, when this one starts shipping aside, so then they're gonna release the OT right when everyone gets their first one.
There's so many variations of C-3PO. This one, the sequel, prequel, what else? The OT, Chewbacca with him in the bag. We all want to see that with him in pieces. That'd be cool. But it's a good step. They're using his likeness. I guess they have the rights to do it. So this is a good first step. So let's take it in the right direction. Number one. Number two, regardless, you shouldn't be pre-ordering this day one, because I really don't think it's going to go anywhere. And that's my 2 cents.
I will say I was so hyped when I saw that teaser image. I didn't really see Attack of the Clones on there. I just saw the darkened R2 and C-3PO. I was like, okay, instantly this is coming to the collection. Obviously not a day one pre-order like John's saying. It's not the smart thing to do anymore, but it was one that I was all in on. And even when I saw, okay, it's from the Attack of the Clones, that's fine. That's not the version that I wanted. But these first images that we've seen, and I think these are the only 2 that I've actually seen, don't look particularly great to me. And I can't put my finger on what it is. It's either like the sculpting. I know the hand was looking kind of odd as well. But yeah, just not a lot to get me excited so far. So definitely one that I've got on my radar and would love to add these 2 characters to the collection. Like John's saying, it's a business. They're going to give us many more in the future. I'm sure of it, but definitely want to see more of these figures before I can make a decision on adding them or not.
I mean, I think when I close my eyes and picture C-3PO version, right? And so for me in my collection, because I can't afford to collect every single Hot Toys or figure that releases, for me, I always look for the most iconic representation of the characters that I love. And right now, I would say that the Sideshow one that came out years ago still, to me, looks like the envisionment of the figure that I would want in my collection. And I've seen that one in hand in they've got a store here called Discovery Hut that always has them on display. And I've always been really impressed by it. Now, I've never held it in my hand. I don't know how heavy it is. I don't know how good a quality it is. But at the same time, this guy, I still think that they've clearly put effort in here. I think it's a little funny that he's standing on that sand base that so many figures seem to come with now. But
the man on the moon base, you hate to see
right? I mean, but I mean, at least the stand somewhat makes sense for the guy. I don't love the coloration of him. I think he looks a little dead. He looks like he's been shut off and left in the corner. And I would worry that if you don't have his eyes lit up, that it would look even more so like that in your collection. So I think at least having the gold representation, like Marco said, I mean, they've been able to nail the paintwork, it looks like, on the Wonder Woman. We'll see how it holds up over time. But if it ever started to kind of chip, you could then just say it's a weathered version of a brand new looking C-3PO. You could pass it off. It would be pretty easy to do so. And for me, I would be also tempted, like so many of us, to wait on this figure to then see if something else comes out. But I would be worried that Dean is right. If we do wait, then they won't make it because there doesn't seem like there's demand for it. But if we do all buy it, then they're going to release the gold version, like John said, because it's a business. So it's not complaining. It's just hard to win in order to get the true representation of the figures and characters that you love. What I liked about Queen Studios recently, just to sell them some praises, is that I do think it's cool that they have put out polls for figures, to see what the community maybe would want, right? Because if Hot Toys is trying to have a little bit more of a connection with the community now that they're seeing other companies do it, these figures that we've been asking for a decade, wait another year and do some polls and really truly see what the collectors out there would want. Because if it came back that this was the one that they wanted, then for anybody complaining, it would be well, whatever, they gave us the choice. But I think to have zero communication that this guy was ever going to come out and then bring out this option that doesn't really seem like it's the iconic version of C-3PO almost seems like they're not really in touch with Star Wars fans or what we might want as figure collectors, which is unfortunate. It seems like a bit of a miss for them. So
how important is diecast for you guys for this character? If Hot Toys, a month from now, or even I guess when this one is officially announced, puts it up for pre-order and it's not diecast, how important is that?
I think it's completely reflective on the price. If it's not diecast, then you better be giving collectors a bargain for not using the material. I think it needs to be the diecast just for that pop, especially if you're going for the OT. You can use plastic. What do they use? The the gold stormtrooper they did, it came off good.
Very fragile though.
Very fragile.
That was going to be my follow-up
scratches.
question is, in addition to die-cast, using the actual vac metalized, because this is just, I mean, it looks just like paint. Like it doesn't look like they have any of that premium, like real shiny gold finish. So in addition to die-cast, how important is the vac metalized gold, the gold chrome for you guys?
Yeah, I think the paint application is way more important to me than the actual material. So I think they can get away with doing like some die-cast parts, like the I forget what the other droids that they've done that with, but I think they can. There you go.
K2.
K2 was the one that I was thinking of, but yeah, thank you for that. But yeah, I think they can. I think their paint applications are strong enough that they can imitate metallic like pretty easily. The fragility of it, yeah, that's another story, but it's not super important for me for it to be fully die-cast because I'd rather spend less money on it.
I think looking good on the shelf is more important to how heavy it is. I think Marco's 100% right. I think the paint matters way more. Now C-3PO, even in A New Hope, kind of goes from like, he's real dirty at the beginning of the movie, but he's still like kind of chromish. And it isn't until the very end of the movie where they clean him like head to toe that he's like full on chrome.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on I guess what look they're gonna go for. The R2D2s they've released have been, I guess, like middle of the movie, right? Not at the end where he's cleaned up and his dome is super shiny. So if they go for that C-3PO, I think the paint is really gonna matter, because now you're talking about layering on paint on top of the gold chrome. What did you call it, Zach?
Vac metalized.
Vac metalized.
Because they've done it before. I mean, like the retro sneaky, the gold chrome Iron Man.
See,
it's just scary to touch it. Like you just always feel like you're gonna ruin it.
The problem with the paint, and the problem with the paint, why I would prefer die-cast, is if they don't do a good paint application, you're going to lead into issues like you did with the Captain America and the shield, where it starts crackling. They did that shield really bad. It wasn't die-cast, and the original one, you pull it out, and all the red and everything is
like
starting to
flakes
chip
off.
and
It's
flake.
not even like
You can't touch it.
It's not even. Yeah, you literally touch it and it just.
Yeah, you can't touch it.
I don't know. I think for me on the at least the die-cast versus plastic, I'm torn because I do like to touch like my figures and repose them, and I like the tactile feel of a figure that feels like a shrunk down version of the representation of the movie. It's something that I really like about my die-cast Mark 7. You know, when I pick that guy up, again back to weight of a figure, he feels like what I would envision an Iron Man shrunk down to that scale to feel like, in terms of his cold to the touch, and he's got the metal plating, and it looks really cool on the shelf. But I think for most collectors out there, we end up finding that pose that we truly like, and then it does really stay on the shelf untouched for long periods of time. And that's when I think the visual aesthetic of it makes more of a difference. I just think for the high price points that we're already paying, when we're already getting into the $300 range for something like a C-3PO, and I mean, again, that's US dollars. For Canadians, that's more like $400 for a figure like this. To have no die cast on it at all and it be fully plastic, it does make you start to question why it's so expensive. I understand that die cast materials are still expensive to produce and to mold and all of those things. But why does it have to be so much more expensive? Maybe you guys have a better answer for that than I do, but I love the feel of diecast, but I like that aesthetic in the collection to, again, really truly look like the figure or the character I'm trying to find. So
I feel like diecast isn't that expensive, or frankly that premium of a material. I know we kind of glorified in 1/6 scale, but I mean you can get 99-cent Hot Wheels diecast figures or cars all day, and even companies like 3-0, like for their MDLX line or their I guess DLX line. I mean those are like the Ava Unit 1 is like maybe 85% diecast, and it was a pretty reasonable price on release, and same with their other Transformers figures. So I don't know if maybe just the weight of the raw material, I don't know, but it's not really, I don't think, a premium material. Like I see diecast in all kinds of cheaper toys that you can get at Walmart. So I've always not been a huge fan of the whole like it's heavy so it's expensive argument, and kind of getting into statues, you hear that a lot. Like they'll frown on a statue if it feels too light, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like you're gonna pick it up once, maybe twice in its lifetime. I don't remember how much these statues weigh.
No, but it's not about that. It's about longevity as well, and material and.
But to that argument, a vinyl statue, I think, would have longer longevity than a polystone. It's much less risk of breaking and shipping. So I get what you're saying, but to me, like, I've never... Like, I wouldn't buy a solid metal statue. That's heavier. It's more premium.
No, but it's not about the weight. You're not buying it because of the weight. You're buying it because of the quality.
I know what you're saying, but when I hear statue collectors talk about like vinyl statues, because those are some that I've been interested in, they'll say it feels so cheap because it's so light. But I just don't like polystone isn't an expensive material either, right? So I guess in a way I understand like the correlation, like the density and everything like that, but I've never been a fan of like discounting something because it's vinyl or discounting something because XYZ. I think it's like the quality of the product should speak for itself, regardless of the materials made from or the weight.
It's like getting into a car. If you have a leather versus fabric seats.
But I think we
I'd
do
rather
put
have
diecast
fabric,
on.
Leather's a pain in the ass.
But we
Literally.
put the diecast on a pedestal, right? Like one of the things that are seeing from Queen nowadays is that their upcoming releases are going to have a lot more diecast. The Joker has the diecast bars. Where possible, it seems like they're going to give us diecast, but then their price points are also quite a bit higher than even Hot Toys. I would hate to see diecast not truly being that much more expensive of a material, but because we collectors do put it on a little bit of a pedestal, we're almost artificially inflating our own prices.
I think it's marketing, right? The whole diecast, like not only is it diecast, it has its own numbering system to DLX or whatever the diecast numbering system is. I think it's marketing. It's kind of like I've been getting into gardening lately, and Miracle-Gro isn't a particularly good product, but it's the branding, like the imagery, the availability. You just think it's better because of that, but it's really not. Like the ingredients aren't that much better than a more generic version that might have more premium ingredients and a greater concentration of them. So I mean, I think it's all marketing, to be honest.
What's easier to mold, die-cast or plastic?
Probably about the same. I mean, you melt them and you cast them. I don't know that one's easier than the other.
So if you're making a die-cast pistol, let's say, versus a plastic pistol, you think the same amount of work goes into the plastic one that would go into the die-cast one?
I would honestly say probably. I mean, if you're talking about figures, yeah, 100%. I mean, you're molding it, casting it. I mean, both are going to have flash lines you have to get rid of, and then some paint or weathering application. So, especially with model making, like you'll have models. Someone mentioned it, but you have models that are a mix of plastic and die-cast, and once they're finished, I mean, or resin and plastic, resin. I will say, resin's a bitch to work with. So I get maybe why resin pieces are more expensive for statues because it's just an absolutely awful material to work with, but. I don't know. Like I think diecast is overhyped.
I know that when you pull out a diecast accessory, like
it feels
When you pull out, it's like a CGC comic. It's the same thing. They're encasing a comic in plastic, but when you pull out that slab, that weight of that slab holding that, I look at it the same way. I think diecast, although you may pay a little bit more, will absolutely trump plastic any day.
Now, once CGC starts encasing their comics in diecast, then
we're talking.
Then we're talking. Forget about it.
Lasts forever.
Now, Hot Toys released 2 figures this week, which not terrible, but also again a huge backlog. We got the Transport Trooper. This is from I believe from the Mandalorian line. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the armor looks great. I think the fabric looks pretty decent. I think a lot of people are going to do a lot of cool things with this figure, and I don't really have any complaints about it. I'll also touch on the second one, and then I'll let you guys take your takes. Hot Toys also dropped the Anakin on Stap from the Clone Wars, and I think the Stap looks incredible. It's been a while since I've done a full watch through of the Clone Wars, but I don't know off the top of my head what episode specifically this is from. And to be honest, if I was thinking of vehicles that Anakin could come with, maybe a Stap's not on the top of my list, but here it is. I think it looks great, and I think it's a shame that we never did see the Obi-Wan that was the counterpart to this figure. I think a big thing that's also fairly important is how this is going to compare to Sideshow's Clone Wars Anakin. I think it's going to be a very interesting set of videos that content creators are going to make as to which is the better buy for your collection. What do you guys think about either of these?
Yeah, I think it's a solid release, especially for someone who needs an Anakin that doesn't want to spend an exorbitant amount of money. It's just not my favorite look for Anakin. I always really just dislike the
how dare you
Phase 1 Anakin compared to like Episode 3. But yeah, I think it's cool. It looks good. We already know their original Anakin is a solid figure, so I have no doubts that this is going to be amazing. If you particularly love this version of Anakin, I think it's a fucking home run. If you just need an Anakin on the shelf, I think it's a solid choice. So, yeah, I think it's a win-win.
I guess I'll hop in here and just say the Transport Trooper, to me, that one's fine. It's a fine looking figure. I know a lot of people are going to want to put the oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Mandalorian.
Mayfield.
Yeah, the portrait.
There you go. So they're going to want to try some different portraits on this figure, but obviously it's a lot of reused parts on this. So glad that they were able to get this out for people that want it. But this Anakin, so I've been very negative this show, but this Anakin, one I've been waiting for, absolutely come into the collection. Dean, I disagree though. This is actually a preferred look to me because he looks like a knight, right? Like that's obviously very intentional with their armor, and he's kind of got the cape, and it just looks really cool and unique and a little less Star Warsy, but still like a really cool looking figure. And obviously they have that other previous sculpt to kind of base this one off of. So excited that one's finally out. Upset that we don't have the Obi to go with it, but at least the Ahsoka can really, and the Rex and the Cody can really make a nice display. So yeah.
Lane says this is from episode 3 of season 7 in the Bad Batch episodes. Mario's saying this is from the Clone Wars movie. So I don't know which of y'all are correct, but I just watched the Clone Wars. Yeah, I just watched the Clone Wars season 7 episodes, and I don't think that's from.
It's definitely not the Bad Batch episodes because he's already in his episode 3 outfit.
Yeah, he's wearing the robes and everything.
Yeah, so Lane.
I love you, Lane.
Thank you for the super chat, Lane.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, bro.
Can you go back to the Transport Trooper for a quick sec?
No.
So no. So I would have probably picked this figure up if it either came with a Bill Burr head sculpt or the Pedro Pascal head sculpt, just so you could swap it out if you wanted to. I think that would have been really cool. Some of the promo images they showed for this, you actually see the helmet down at the figure's side, and I think that they're honestly kind of alluding to the fact that you will be able to swap a head sculpt in there at some point. So I think that that's cool that they did that. It's just unfortunate that, again, for the slightly higher price, you're not getting the head sculpt there. But in terms of the Anakin, I do wish that it had a more animated look to it, since it's the animated series, but they've already started to kind of go down that hole with the Ahsoka, where they've made them look a little bit more lifelike versus animated. And so to me, this is somewhere kind of in the in-between, and it doesn't necessarily jive with me in terms of Hayden Christensen likeness. I think it would have been cooler to have the animated series type look. But otherwise, it looks like an amazing figure, and I think if anybody's looking forward to this in their collection, I am super stoked for those folks.
Yeah, I don't think
checking right now.
I don't think you could go wrong with the Anakin, to be honest. We did Sean did the unboxing live yesterday of the light side Anakin. That portrait was great. And if you have the other two, the light side, dark side, I think this is going to be a great addition to the collection. The Stap is awesome as well. This is what we need, these little vehicles. More of them. Jedi Starfighter, maybe tomorrow. the tank commander, I couldn't give two hoots about that. It's just another commander trooper build sort of scenario. I'm with Ben. If they included the portrait, it would have elevated the figure so much. But again, then that would have elevated the cost as well. So it wouldn't be cheap to get their likeness. But yeah, two good releases. The Anakin, I would order the Anakin easily.
Real quick to Lane's point here, I don't think this is from that episode, Lane. Season 7, he's wearing the robes already.
Who's that?
I think it may be.
Yeah, I don't know why he keeps saying that.
I love you, Lane. I'll always love you. I'll have to watch the Clone Wars movie later to verify, but I think I was looking at some of the promo pictures of Anakin, and he's missing the comm link on his wrist, which I think is kind of annoying. And I believe the Sideshow animated figure has that. So I don't know. Between the both of them, I think it's going to be interesting to see which is better. And again, I guess Mario's saying this is from the Clone Wars movie, so I'll have to check that while we hear about our sponsor.
We want to thank 16 Corner. Their mission is to provide the best figures and collectibles to their customers. They offer great prices, great packaging, fast shipping, and best in the business customer service. Collecting Weekly listeners get 10% off in-stock figures while our show is live. Just be sure to use code capital C, capital W, 10. Choose your figures, pay safely with PayPal, and you leave the rest to them.
Exo6 put out a announcement, or a post, I guess, a few weeks ago. Ben, tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, so basically there was just a little bit of confusion, I think, in the community for Star Trek fans, because people were receiving an email to say that their figure had already shipped before they had made their final payments to it. And so there was a whole bunch of confusion. People were thinking they were getting their figures early, and that was not the case. I guess they had essentially pre-generated an email because of the holiday weekend that they were having, and I think that got sent out by mistake. So they released this apology just to say, sorry, not the case, just a heads up, sort of thing. Now, I know John had a bit of a field day with me on this one when I sent this to the show sheet, because he was like, oh, Exo6, you know, there you go.
See, this is why you can't talk. You see,
that's it.
You preach, and the next week you're apologizing. I hate to see it.
Yeah. But I do appreciate the fact that they got out to the collectors pretty quick, because I know that it did create a lot of concern and people didn't know if they should cancel it. Were they still going to have their payment come out? Like, there was all that. So,
I mean, did people really think they were getting their figure without fully paying for it? I mean,
yeah, apparently. And then they emailed the company to say, so, I mean, you told me I was getting it, so, like, where is it? And they were like, sorry, you're not getting it because you haven't paid your final payment yet. So they got on it pretty quick, at least. But
people are fucking stupid, bro. Apparently, this may be from season 3, episode 19, Counterattack, when Anakin gets on the stap. But I will have to verify that later. Our main topic of tonight is how much is too much. One of our main topics, rather. And I'm curious for the panel for regular 1/6 scale prices, or just in general, what's your tap out price? I think for me, I know with the Queen Gandalf kind of being up in the air, I really don't think that's going to be any less than $500, and that's probably my absolute limit on a 1/6 scale figure. I have pieces of my collection that are worth more than that, but those were heavily discounted from retail by the time they got to me. So, and in a way, they're kind of investments. But I'm curious, Dean, is there a price point that you look at something, either retail or secondary, and you're just like, you know what, I'd love to have it, but it's just not worth it?
I think it depends on the character. How important that character is to me. Because my rule used to be $250. We're way past that now. But like, I recently paid $350 for Guts, and he was selling for a lot more than that, or it still is. So I felt like I got a good deal anyway. But any more than that, I wouldn't have done that. But again, Guts is a very important character to me, so I was like, I really need to have this. So, like currently right now, I really want to get Cloud from Game Toys, but he's selling on the cheap end $450. On eBay, he's going into the sixes now, like $660. I'm not gonna pay $450. I'll tell you that much right now. I think they're gonna re-release those anyway, but that's not the question. I would say like 350 is like my high end. If that's like a really important character. I think if it's just someone like, I don't know, like Bo-Katan, what is she, like 285? I haven't ordered it. So, I mean, if the base price for figures now from Hot Toys is 285, I'd say that's probably about as high as I would go, and I haven't yet, you know. So, yeah.
Or we're gonna go in order. All right.
Yeah, don't all go at once.
I don't have a price point, to be honest. I'm just very selective, so I won't go pick up everything. The way I look at collecting now is I won't go pick up everything. I try to pinpoint specific pieces that if a piece is done well and executed well, I don't mind paying more for it. Look at the Queen Studios Joker, $1,000 for 2 Jokers. That's ridiculous. But the materials they're using, the quality, I want that representation in the collection, so I'll go for it. That's how I'm looking at collecting. Because Hot Toys within the next year or so, I don't for a half decent figure, if we're not already there, I think you're going to be looking at no less than $300 US. That's the way we're going. For me to get a figure here in Canada, I got to convert the US dollar, which I'm losing there, and then I got to pay the shipping fee, and when it crosses the border, I got to pay the customs fee as well. So I'm already paying a lot more than someone who's local or in the States or that doesn't have to pay those fees. So I'm used to paying a lot for figures, but like I said, when it comes to a well-executed figure that I want in the collection, I'll give you an example, like an 89 Jack Nicholson or 89 Batman. I'll pay what it takes to get it.
Yeah, I would say we're rubbing up right against my break point, just like Dean was saying. Like that 285 price point is right where I'm starting to get pretty uncomfortable, but it is variable, right? Like it's about the value for me. So if they were, bumping up to 285, but they're still releasing quality figures, which I still feel that they are when I'm talking about Hot Toys, but specifically here, but still giving us all the accessories, but it feels like the price is going up and the value is going down in terms of what we're getting. They're just like stripping out all the accessories. It's pretty much bare bones figures now from what I'm seeing, which isn't a trend I love. So it's hard to say, just like John was mentioning that Queen Studios Joker figure. I never envisioned myself paying that much for 2 figures, but it just felt like, okay, this is an interesting release. It is, potentially worth picking up at a higher price point. But if Hot Toys is not willing to step up and give us, more things that are interesting, and the last few releases I've seen are just not like impressing me, and so I'm finding myself increasingly more just in wait and see mode. So they're not getting me excited, and they're not like instantly having my money. They really got to prove it at this point. So I would say, yeah, I think John's assumption that the base figures, trending towards $300, yeah, we could definitely see that here in the near future, and that just means that I'm picking up less. I'm already finding ways to, at first I was ordering most of my figures from Sideshow and kind of finding ways to reduce the cost by, hopefully not paying tax or shipping. So that's one way that I'm adding a bit more capacity into how I can collect. But yeah, there's just too many releases and the price is going up. And I feel like I am pretty much at my breaking point if there's not more releases that are impressive, and if there's still more missteps to where there's mistrust there and you're just not feeling great about giving them your money, then just the 285 plus is just not a place where I'm comfortable anymore.
And I echo kind of all of your points to a point. My goal is always to try and curate my collection to what I really truly, want to see when I walk down the stairs into my man cave and I look at my shelf and I'm like, wow, like all these figures are are the characters that I love. And I find, kind of like John said, some of the exchange rates and the taxes and the conversion rates that we pay in Canada here really starts to skyrocket these figures. So, anything beyond, I think I paid $350 for the deluxe Mando, which ended up being well over $500 Canadian by the time I had that in my collection. And then, what was it? A month later, they released the newest version, and we're comparing that Mando and saying, it's not as good as this new one. Look at this new one, and like I just paid over $500 for that figure, and so no regrets. It's still easily one of my favorite in the collection, but going forward, I would say that if it's a figure or a character that I'm kind of on the fence with, that like the Electro, I think that Jamie Foxx head sculpt is awesome, and if he was a $240, $250, I probably would get him. But just the fact that he's now approaching that $300 price point, anything above kind of $300 now for me, unless it's a character that I truly feel like I need to fill a line or fill that hole in my heart, I probably won't buy it, and I'll really respect the collectors at a distance and enjoy their collections, and do unboxing videos with people who have it in hand so I can get a chance to see it, but not necessarily buy it. I do think I think it was John that mentioned, though, there are those figures or those characters out there still, though, that are my favorite characters that I will pay through the nose for. I paid $1,000 Canadian for the DX11 Joker because I wanted that guy for a decade, so I was willing to pay the dollar amount, right? But again, going forward, it's going to be very much curation, and I plan to use my collection to buy my collection a little bit, right? If I really want a figure that is starting to feel like it's above my price point, I am going to come down to my collection and look at it and see what I might be willing to part with in order to justify making that slightly higher purchase. So but it's a tough one because it's also kind of like Marco. It takes the wind out of my sails just a little bit. Previously, Hot Toys or even Sideshow or some of these other companies, 3.0, they would release these amazing images and I would immediately want to go out and buy it. Now it's very much the wait and see. Let's see what it looks like in hand. What if the quality is not quite there? Can I justify it? And I'm like Marco, I justify every single purchase that I make, period, and it drives Shauna nuts. But it also means
I bet he's
that
thinking about other girls, and you're just sitting there in bed thinking about the price point.
Thinking about how heavy his floor is,
right? But
how
at
tough
the end of
the nut is to swallow.
it's too tough. It's too tough. I can't justify paying some of these prices. So as I said, I won't, and I'll ruminate about it, and then I'll feel disappointed by it. And so I don't want collectors out there to feel that way. We've always said that this hobby is not for everybody, that it is still a premium hobby. But I do think that they're starting to move away from the everyday collector, and they're starting to become more of a premium collector market. Not you, John, specifically.
John's face when you said that, forget about it.
Dude, that
Forget
fucking
about it.
side eye, bro. Forget about it.
Love it.
Our next topic for discussion is how much does an actor's personal life or trials and tribulations affect your collecting? So
Depends how much
obviously
shit's in the bed.
With Amber Heard and Ezra Miller in the news lately, I saw Toys Wonderland last week put up a statue. It seemed like a really bad time to put it up, and it's Toys Wonderland, and I know there's probably some excuse to why, but in the middle of this, awful testimony, dropped a Mira. Hey, you can order this Mira statue. Just fucking idiots. And it got roasted pretty good. But I'm wondering, is there a line that has to be crossed that you won't order a character if the actor or actress has done some things, and maybe some examples if you have them? I'm curious what you guys have, if any of you guys have any thoughts on this.
I think if they're if they have a felony, maybe not murder or
misdemeanor is okay. Felony is
sexual assault. It's well, it's probably not very tasteful.
Domestic abuse.
But I feel I guess if their behavior is questionable, like someone like Amber Heard, right? But let's just say Tom Cruise with the whole Scientology thing. He's kind of a wacky guy. I don't agree with him politically or on most things. But that, like, you're never going to agree with. I'm sure there's people who listen to the show who fucking hate my opinion, or Zach. You know, this whole person.
I'm 100% sure that that's
yeah.
true.
Like, but that, like, I don't think things like that should really deter you, or I guess me personally. It's like I don't agree with the guy, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy his body of work, right?
Don't say it. Usually, whenever we talk about this, you bring up like a really awful example. I'll put it in the private chat.
Oh gosh, put it so I don't say it.
You better not say who I think you're
I'm not gonna say it.
But yeah, like perfect example. What's his name? Lord Gregory Arrington. He collects political figures, and so he bought a Donald Trump. And I know for a fact he does not like Donald Trump at all. But like that's part of his collection is political figures. So when they came out with that one, he bought it like right away, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
I think he bought it just to make fun of it. To be honest, I don't
maybe
think he just always posts those like sugar posts that like, people get all butthurt.
But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I fucking knew you were gonna say that.
Oh god, I think you should say it, Dan.
No, I'm not gonna.
Please, God, don't.
As a Jew, I can't. But yeah, I think as long as they're not, like I said, like a murderer or you know, like I said, someone who's sexually assaulted somebody or Amber Heard, shit the bed. I don't know. I guess maybe it just depends on how it hits you specifically, you know. Maybe someone doesn't really give a shit about any of that. I don't know. Maybe their whole thing is serial killers, and so they kit bash serial killer figures. I don't know. I mean, people have Michael Myers. I know he's not a real character, but, you know, someone out there is
waiting for Manny to comment on that one.
Wackadoo, you know. I think it's very different when it's fictional, you know, like, I get it. But, you know,
T-Rex
out there
says OJ 16. Cosby 16.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Equan says every time Ezra Miller assaults a woman, his Hot Toys value goes up. Not joking.
Keep going, Ezra. No, just kidding. Please don't.
But
like
go ahead,
my opinion. No, this is my opinion.
I was just gonna say, like, we're talking about art, right? And I always have a hard time like lumping together the artist with the art. And I'm gonna put like a really horrific example here, but like Michael Jackson, right? Like what he's allegedly done,
the king of pop,
right? Like, yeah. So that's the thing. Like what he's allegedly done is horrific and like unforgivable, right? Also, when Thriller comes on, tell me you're not like getting so hyped out of your mind every time you hear that, right? So it's like really hard to separate. And there's, you know, a lot more examples of just like artists can be like some really eccentric, weird, fucked up people. So, like I always have, I always try to separate that if I can, but I'm sure there is a line there somewhere, and I'm not sure where it is just yet. But I would say that's one where I'm hypocritical if I'm like, oh no, I can't stand by this person's work when I'm bumping Michael Jackson in the car, you know, because if he did what they said he did, then he's an awful person.
HBO Max.
I had to turn it off. It was too much. Like it wasn't entertaining. It's just like horrific and too tough to watch.
Yeah. Ben, what about you?
I think it depends on the crime or on the situation. You know, when I look at my collection, I can look at every figure on there and know what that representation means to me. What I hear Marco saying there is that, you know, he's had a connection to Michael Jackson's music. He feels that connection. And so if he ever had a figure of him, you know, you could at least say, I've always loved the music. It reminds me of childhood or a party or a situation or whatever. Right? If I had
terrible example,
terrible example.
Don't worry about it. Forget about it. But if I can't look at my figures and feel like they have a true like representation of my heart, like why I truly love them in the collection, I don't just collect them for the sake of collecting. And so I didn't like Ezra Miller's Flash representation. That might be a hot take. I've always liked Grant Gustin better. So I would never buy the Ezra Miller figure because I didn't like his Flash, not because I don't like him as a dude. But if you're somebody like a Bill Cosby or, some of these other guys out there, I had once thought about kit bashing on Kevin Spacey. Well, I don't know if again, right? There's this line in the sand of it's too inappropriate to then support. I think there are people who just kind of make bad choices, and I don't think that should necessarily sewer their career. Or their lives anyways, right? I mean, this might be a really rough patch for this Ezra Miller guy. He might come out of it and end up being okay. Look at Robert Downey Jr. There was a period of time in his life where he looked like there was no going back for that guy. And now almost all of us have a Robert Downey Jr. in our collection. And so
that's a great point, Ben.
You shouldn't take that away from somebody if they've made bad choices. But that there is that line in the sand that, as I said, if somebody comes down and takes a look at my collection with me and they go, "Hey, you've got a Bill Cosby in your collection. Haven't you heard the news?" It's just going to be an awkward conversation, and that will start to make my appreciation for that portrayal diminish, right? Slowly over time. So
I don't know really how I feel about this, to be honest. I think it's a great topic, Ben. But I don't know. I just really don't know. Like, Michael Vick did some terrible things. But if I'm fucking playing Madden 04, best believe I'm fucking picking the Falcons. Like, no doubt. It's hard. It's hard. I don't know. I don't know that there's a line that you draw, but I think you just kind of know. So I thought about this all day, and I just don't really have a great answer for it, but I think, Ben, that's a great point about Robert Downey Jr. I think it's a really good point. So we will maybe circle back to this one another day, but
might almost be a better After Dark conversation, right? Because there's some pretty dark. There's a really dark side to that chat, and I mean, it's hard to address on the main show, but it's definitely, I think it's definitely worth exploring more over time. Maybe like as I said, maybe an After Dark segment if people are have their opinions on it. Sorry, Gigi.
But I think RDJ is probably like the 1 in a million Hollywood story, right? Usually it doesn't get better, right? So
not usually.
We'll see. Well, I guess we'll see what happens with both of these actors. And then this week is Star Wars week. May the 4th is coming up. We had a Star Wars episode last year, but I don't think we're doing one this year. I'm curious. It's been a year since we last really talked about Star Wars. What has Star Wars meant for you this year? For me, I'm really excited for Kenobi. I think we all are. We're getting the first 2 episodes, I think May 27th, which is really neat. We haven't had like a film in a while, and I feel like it's weird getting used to, because for a while they were popping them out like every 6 months, and it almost felt like too much. And now I feel like maybe it's too little. But I think I'm excited for Kenobi. I'm just a little bit concerned. I've seen like a lot of people say the MCU shows are just kind of, for the most part, a little meh. And I hate when Star Wars feels meh. Like, I definitely think it can be overdone, like some of the Marvel stuff. But for me this past year, I've been really enjoying the Bad Batch show. I'm in a rewatch right now and absolutely loving it. I know the Lego Star Wars game just came out, and I'm trying to get my hands on that. But it's I've been really enjoying it, and my kid's at that age where she started to get into it. So the other day she wanted to watch Return of the Jedi because she likes the Ewoks, and I think this year with Star Wars I've been really getting into Lego a lot with Star Wars. Not too much with Hot Toys or 1/6, but with Black Series has been a huge collecting focus for me with again the Bad Batch show. Just because the prices of Hot Toys, the release times, and then not finishing teams, I think Hasbro really really excels at like doing a like, hey, we're gonna make the cast of Rogue One in figure form, or the cast of Rebels main characters, or Bad Batch. So for me, I think collecting Black Series has been a really good alternative to Hot Toys lately for me, because it really bothers me when there's a team of figures and you only get, you know, one or two, maybe three, and you're missing the other three. So I mean, that's kind of where I've been with Star Wars this year. I'm not like, I think Lord of the Rings is still probably my favorite franchise to collect and like to watch and everything like that at the moment, but maybe that'll change this year. What about you, Dean?
This year, Star Wars has been kind of I don't know. I don't want to say a letdown, but the Boba Fett show really was leaves much to be desired. But as a whole, I'm still optimistic. Like you said, we got Obi-Wan coming up. Hopefully they don't run that into the grounds, which I'm expecting. But yeah, like you said, there hasn't been any movies. It's like really weird. We're like in this weird period, but we're still getting content. So I guess it's not like the worst thing in the world. I mean, we went how many years without any Star Wars? So,
but how is Disney releasing a Marvel movie on the week of May 4th and not a Star Wars movie? Like, what's going on over there?
You're not wrong,
dude. I feel bad. I literally forgot the Boba Fett show was the thing. I totally forgot that existed, bro.
It's like,
I had more fun watching it with y'all. We were dying laughing.
Yeah, I think the best part about that show was roasting it live.
And then watching the Rogue One 6 panel afterwards, that was
amazing. Going over there and chatting. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird time. It's not the worst time, but it's weird.
It's sad, right? Because Star Wars should be peaking right now, right? Like off the hype of The Mandalorian, there should be so much to be excited about, and they're just like, feels like they're mishandling the property a little bit. Might not be the case. We got some upcoming stuff, but yeah, it's kind of we're not as hyped as we should be right now.
Correct. What about you, John?
Boba Fett killed it for me. Mando was super exciting. That kind of got me back into it. Boba just completely swept the carpet beneath the feet. I'm hopeful for Obi-Wan. I really am hopeful for it. But in the back of my head, and speaking to a lot of collectors, they say it's the same thing. Oh, they're going to let you down. They're going to let you down. I'm going to still be hopeful because they're building up so much anticipation. We got Christian coming back. The trailer looks pretty good. For me, I'd love to see Vader visiting Padme's gravesite.
Oh, they're doing that? That's awesome.
I don't know if they're doing that, but if
they are, that's fucking awesome.
I would fucking flip. I want to see that, please. But we'll see. Figure-wise or statue-wise, I know XM says they're going to be doing a new Vader. Danny's mentioned. Figure-wise, well, look what Hot Toys is doing. These crappy releases, all this drama. Maybe we'll see Obi-Wan released tomorrow. The one to go with the Anakin. You never know. Maybe we'll see a Padme or something. Some of those figures that they had shown us that didn't get released, maybe they'll put some up tomorrow and renew faith in the company. A Jedi Starfighter. Who knows? But it's going to be an exciting week. Very exciting week. So it's good to be a Star Wars fan, guys. This is the best week of the year.
So Shauna tells me I'm showing my age pretty consistently, because I compare kind of movies back in the day to what they are becoming. And I've noticed this trend where television does seem like it's really becoming the mainstream way that people like to consume content. And I think that's built from the world of everything needs to be in shorter, smaller, bite-sized information now for people to feel like they have the time to consume it. But I also think that the storytelling lately in television has almost been better than a lot of films. In films, we often have that criticism where they have a lot of information or a lot of characters that they really want to get into the film, but then nobody gets a full story and everybody feels a little diluted, and then the movie's over and then people aren't happy with it. I think one of the best things that we've seen from shows like The Mandalorian, or even this recent show, Moon Knight. I never knew anything about Moon Knight as a character. I never read any of the comics. Truthfully, I didn't care. I didn't care about the character at all. I didn't have any representation to bring my nostalgia to life. But because they've been able to give it to us in this consumable content and really develop characters that we now, after a shorter season, I think a lot of people now care about. They want to see what will happen to these people as characters. I now think if they eventually come out with a Moon Knight film, for example, that Moon Knight film will do so much better because now people know who it is and people are invested in the characters because they've had the time and the energy to consume the content that's available. I think when it comes to Star Wars, I mean, for the last several movies, a lot of people haven't been happy with that content, and I don't think it was for lack of trying from Lucasfilm or Disney. I just think that they weren't necessarily giving Star Wars fans what they were looking for potentially out of those stories. But I wonder if they had done it the other way before those films were released. If we'd seen some series where we got to know Rey a little bit better and Finn a little bit better and some of these other characters who are in the sequel trilogy, would we have cared about those movies more? Would we have liked them more? I think that television has a little bit less of a gamble and potentially a much greater payout down the line, because television recently, like when it comes to Star Wars this year, they re-gave us a Luke Skywalker. And, when they did it in the end of season 1 of Mando, I thought the CGI Luke was a little off-putting. I didn't love him. When I saw Luke Skywalker in season 2, dude, tears came to my eyes. I'm not even sure why, because I've never been like a crazy Luke Skywalker fan, but I think it was just the fact that it was like so realistic and so well done that it brought me right back to when I was a kid watching the original series, and I loved it. But that was in television. They gave it to us in not necessarily films. So I think if done well, the consumable content, I think we'll continue to see more content over time that's tailored to people, younger people than me, who like, bite-sized content that they can watch. Shauna's the same way. I can't get Shauna to sit down for anything longer than about 45 minutes. She will not watch movies with me otherwise. She just won't. But if it's a television show, she'll give it a chance because she knows that in 45 minutes, she can go do something else with her life if she wants to. That makes it so much easier for people to become greater fans of the series and the shows that we all love. So it's a bit of a hot take maybe, but that's how I see it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so I would just say, Zach, before you cut me off, no, Star Wars will always have a special place in my heart. But I just am a little bit disappointed that I'm not as hyped for it as I should be right now. As I was mentioning, just coming back from Galaxy's Edge, and it's great to see all those characters out there, and obviously looking at all the memorabilia and riding the rides, and but I just don't see their long-term plan. It's like we're kind of like one property at a time, like holding on, like, come on, give us something good, give us something to get excited about. If that Rogue Squadron movie was on the horizon for like December, then it'd be like, okay, well, and Obi hits, then now we're building some momentum. But it just feels so hodgepodge right now that it doesn't feel like we're in the best of hands, which is unfortunate because this is a property that should be rocking it and should have us excited kind of year round. And I'm okay to build up the hype if they want to release a movie every other year, but we just don't know what they're doing, and that's the frustrating part. But that being said, I'm excited to see what Hot Toys announces, and hopefully there's some releases from the original trilogy, stuff for us to really get excited about.
Definitely. Ben, this was an interesting thing with Moon Knight season 2. Do you want to tell us what happened here? It was like a Twitter thing or some sort of post that went up and then got quickly deleted.
Yeah, exactly. So since the show's inception, I think that they've kind of pinpointed this as a small snapshot series that will introduce this character into the lifespan of Marvel television and films. And I know that they've even put this name forward, or for this show forward. I can't remember for what awards it is. It might be the Emmys or one of those, but for short series, like they've put it up for an award. But that type of award, you can only have one season. And so for the longest time, they've been calling this like a series finale that's coming. And recently they were advertising the trailer of this final episode that's coming, episode 6 of Moon Knight, which I'm stoked for. I've loved the show so far. And they called it in that trailer Twitter note basically that it was a series finale, and then 14 minutes later they took it down, put it up again, and it said it was a season finale. So I think they're really just alluding to the fact that there may actually be a season 2 of Moon Knight potentially coming, and I would love to see it. There is so much content now that could be explored now that we have an idea of who these characters are. That I think that's really exciting. Or they'll, introduce Moon Knight in a different way, maybe have a slightly different title so they can still submit that first season for an award. But either way, it was pretty cool to see that this might get another season, because I've been loving it.
It's super exciting. They actually put out the name of the new season. It's Sun Knight.
Oh, really? Are you kidding me? I'm
Sun
gullible.
Knight.
Don't get me excited.
48 hours from now, if they're not convinced, I'm not convinced. I shut you down, John.
That's a good
Too
one.
gullible.
I have to finish all the other episodes.
5 was good.
Really? That's what
It's a mind. It's a mind. It plays with your mind. I'll tell you that. You'll have questions after it, but it was well done.
Have you guys seen Legion at all?
The Angel movie?
No, this is like, it was Professor X's son. It was an FX series.
I
Like loosely, oh my gosh, one of my favorite comic book shows. And this is like, this show went from, kind of a generic run of the mill, like where are they really going? I'm not super familiar with the books, to the last 2 episodes. My gosh, it's been great. And like an extra season or second season is welcome. Last thing I will say, like, I love what Marvel's doing. They've had a lot more like just okay films or TV shows over the last, most recent phase, since Endgame for me. But at least like they've built in some flexibility, right? Like you can get a season 2. You can have Captain America, spin into Captain America 4, so you can get his own movie. You've got a Loki show, which is going to have a season 2. You got WandaVision having its own spin-off, but then you could also stop a show at one season if that needs to happen. So it seems like they're kind of going with the flow, seeing what's popular with people. So I've got a lot more faith in them than I do, other folks to kind of do this little jazz that they're doing with these properties.
You got to watch Merlin, best television out there. Avatar has a title, and we have some images from the sequel, Avatar: The Way of the Water. I'm not particularly excited. I feel like it's one of those movies that I don't think needed a sequel. It was like, I was happy with where everyone was left off. It was a, nice little one-shot movie, but, in the way of Hollywood these days, we're getting a sequel. So that's, is anyone excited for this? I'm not particularly thrilled to revisit this franchise. I like the movie, by the way. I don't hate Avatar by any means. I just don't like. I just feel like it wrapped up pretty nicely. Put a nice little bow on it, and I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think isn't there like 5 sequels they've kind of announced, or it's some ridiculous number of movies. I'm like, why? I know that Disney Parks has a huge like Avatar worlds. What's it called?
Avatar World.
The planet they're on. That's what they call it. Anyway.
Avatar World?
It's been too many years.
Jesus Christ.
Purgatory or something like that. I don't know. It's some weird name.
But yeah, it's like I didn't even particularly care for the first movie. I think I've seen it once.
Pandora,
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So maybe I guess Disney has a lot of it invested in the success of Avatar. So that's why they're doing it. But yeah, it's just fucking beating off a dead horse. Sorry. I could never get through that. It is what it is. I could care less.
This is super exciting. Avatar was amazing. Groundbreaking when it came out. And they have a lineup to like 2028 or something like that. Apparently, there's like 2, 3, 4, some other thing. This is exciting. 10 years. what's his name? The actor who plays the guy, Sully. He's like, I was in the
Sam
show.
Worthington?
Yeah, Sam Worthington. He's like, in the show, I was in a wheelchair. By the time we get to the last film, I'll be in a wheelchair for real, in real life.
Wow.
Because he's like 40 something. Wow. Yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah, Brendan, it's an inside joke. The beating off a dead horse. The small talk joke. All right, let's move on.
It's small around here.
We'll blow through this real quick. Batman 2 was announced with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves returning along with the rest of the team. Zoe Kravitz? Totally just
Zoe
drew a blank
Kravitz.
there. I was going to say... Never mind. Yeah, so most of the cast is returning. Yes. Who's the Gamora actress? What's her name?
Zoe Saldana.
Yes, I was about to say that. Thank you. Anyway, so let's get on to our movie of the week. Donnie Brasco. Now, this was a change. We were originally supposed to watch Labyrinth, but
Sorry, Sam.
wasn't streaming anywhere. And boy, what a great switch. Joseph Pistone is an FBI agent who has infiltrated one of the major New York mafia families and is living under the name Donnie Brasco. He develops a relationship with mob hitman Benjamin Lefty Ruggiero in order to develop a deeper undercover... Wow, this doesn't make sense. In order to get deeper undercover, but ends up developing a real friendship with the mafioso. As the relationship develops, Pistone must decide whether or not to complete his job, knowing that it will lead to the murder of his new friend. I fucking love this movie. I've never seen it. I've never seen this movie, and I was fucking blown away. I'm most familiar with Johnny Depp from like really eccentric roles, so to see him as like a really, I won't say clean cut because he's in the mob for the movie, but you know, he's kind of got the slick back hair, the suit, like it really kind of threw me off initially. And I wasn't really sure the tone of the movie because, you know, in the cooking scene, like there's a lot of, I felt like it was like really lighthearted, and then the Christmas scene, you know, I thought it was kind of funny. And then it starts getting like really dark. Really, really dark. And I really enjoyed this movie. I did have like one complaint at the beginning. I feel like the opening was a bit rushed. Like he meets him, tries to sell him a ring, and then like all of a sudden they're like best friends. They're driving together. He's like inviting him to his house. Oh, do you want to be a made man? Like it almost seems like maybe he just never gets any respect from anybody, and he's finally getting some. And he's like, dude, I'm gonna let you in all the way. Like I don't know. It was interesting. That was really my only complaint. And then maybe the airport scene when the FBI agent kind of sold him out. It seemed like so off, and I just can't imagine any agent doing that to another agent. Like it just totally took me out of the movie. And this is based on a true story, so maybe that actually did happen, and that's why it's in the movie. But it just seemed like an unnecessary bit of tension that didn't really need to be there. But man, this movie's freaking fantastic. It is available for free on Tubi, and it's definitely worth the watch. I was, I mean, there was like maybe 2 moments where the tension was just incredible. They had kind of shown throughout the film that he's wearing a wire in his boots, and I guess that's kind of how he was hiding it because, you know, no one's gonna really pat down the inside of his boots. And he's told to take his shoes off in a restaurant, and he's like freaking out, and he comes up with this crazy, you know, way to get out of it, and it ends up being pretty brutal, but it was such a neat scene, real clever on the writer's part, and I enjoyed the movie. I think it does have some problems, but overall, like, based on a true story, so, you know, I don't know how much is really embellished, but reading the wiki on the actual people that were involved, apparently it's a fairly truthful adaptation of the real events. Mark says Al Pacino was meh in this movie for me. I felt quite the opposite. I thought he was great. I think he played his role well. He's obviously not the kingpin of the family, so he's not as brutal.
Yeah.
He's really just taking orders. Yeah. And honestly, I felt like the whole movie I was watching John. Like, just the way that the people talk to each other. I'm like, dude, John's personality is like 100% from this movie. Like, just 100%. But on the whole, I think it was a great movie, and I'm glad to have seen another great Johnny Depp film, especially with everything going on in his personal life. It was a great film, and I'm upset that it's taken this long to watch it. So I got like 9 out of 10. It was a really solid movie.
Well,
Um, I I watched Donnie Darko.
Are you serious?
I'm not shocked.
I'm fucking with you. Oh my god! So this movie is on Netflix. I have not finished it yet.
Wow, get him out of here.
It's getting real juicy. I got to the part where they get to the.
Why didn't you finish it?
I had to jump on. I got to the part with.
Should we pause until you finish and then we'll come back?
No, that's fine. I mean, Zach already fucking spoiled it, but it's fine.
I mean, it's implied that you should have watched it before.
I know. I'm not complaining. You are.
Oh, you kind of complained a little bit.
No, I just
so
said
what part are you
it.
on?
The part where
I thought everyone watched it. I didn't know anyone did.
They just got to. He's leaving the hotel in Miami, and he gets seen, but the other guy sees him, and they both think like, "Fuck, he saw me."
Yeah. The coke.
Yeah, the coke
the
deal.
beginning of the movie.
No, it's not.
It's pretty early.
Mid. It's about mid.
Yeah. You really didn't.
Yeah, it's so far. I'm loving it. I really like Zach said, the Al Pacino is almost like a fucking nobody. Like everybody kind of like looks down on him.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, it's just fucking. It's Al Pacino. Like
fucking lefty.
Yeah, like entertain yourself. We got other shit to do. Fucking what's his name? I love that actor, Michael Madsen. Fucking Sonny Black. Fucking
So good in
love.
this.
Yeah, but he's not a mobster.
No, but I love Michael Madsen. He just like has like that
He
really
plays a
like
big boss pretty well, I think.
yeah, dude. This fucking Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill. Like I always love his characters. I haven't seen him do anything where I'm like, all right, fuck this guy. But you know, like I said, I'm not done. There's a lot of funny moments in this movie. Like Zach said in the chat, he's like, "Is this a comedy?" Because like, there's a lot of like really funny parts. I don't know if they're supposed to be.
There are some of them.
I like the part at the very beginning with the ring, and he's like, "What kind of car you got?" And he's like, "A Porsche." And he's like, "Whose car does this belong to?" He's like, "It's Lefty's." I was like, $8,000. How much were Porsches in 1970? They were $8,000. So I was like, well, okay, fuck. Goddamn. Yeah, so far I'm having a lot of fun. Johnny Depp, amazing. His wife, played by Annie, I think it's Annie Heche. I don't know how to say her last name. Such a fucking babe, bro. They're like in the middle of a fight, and he's like, I come home to an empty house, and she's like, well, I wanted to be with you. And then boom, immediately it's like makeup sex, bro. The best kind, right? So yeah, amazing. So far I'm having a lot of fun. I really like it.
7.7 out of 10 and 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Look, it's not the best mafia movie, I'll tell you that. It's a good movie. It's well done. Yeah, Al Pacino in this, Lefty, is portrayed as he's weak. He says it so many times. He's like the rambling, I've killed 26 people, 26 hits and this and that. And he keeps repeating that, and then, I've spent my whole life working, and I have nothing to show for it, sort of thing. And he's taking money when he does the Christmas. He gives him the Christmas card. Johnny does the Christmas.
Yeah, that's
he takes the money back.
Yeah,
but every time they interact, yeah, he's like, "Hey, you got this card, or how much you got on you?" And then he takes the whole
that doesn't happen. But I appreciate the relationship that I agree with Zach completely. In the beginning, the relationship was built too quickly. Like, you don't take someone under your wing like that, especially when it comes to mafia stuff, that quickly without knowing them. But the relationship that was built throughout the movie between Johnny Depp's character, Donnie, and Al Pacino, Lefty, and how it gets to the point where you see Donnie towards the end have sympathy for this guy. And it's like, okay, I want to throw the rest of them under the bus, but I kind of want to protect him. And even at the end, I like the perspective of this movie where it's like, it shows you him as a inside guy working for the FBI, and then it gets to the end And it's like, okay, you've done all this work. You were able to incarcerate all these people.
Brutal, bro.
And here's a
Brutal
medal and a $500 check. And he looks at it like, fuck, I just spent all these days, all these weeks, months with this guy, built a relationship, like not an intimate relationship, but you know what I mean, emotionally intimate relationship where you met his son, you went to the hospital, everything. You sacrificed your life with your family, your daughter's growing up, your relationship with your wife, and this is what they're giving you. I thought it was nuts. So I liked that kind of look into the story. But the funniest part was like FBI walks into the room on the pool table, boom. He was a fucking FBI agent. And they all look at each other like, what the fuck? And then they didn't believe it. They thought it was fake. I thought that was cool. I appreciate the movie. I'll probably give it a 7.5.
That scene felt so out of place to me, John. It felt so forced.
Yeah. They rushed it. I think they crammed a lot into the film.
Like, why would they just walk in and be like, hey, we're FBI, and like not expect like anything to happen? Like the way they just walked in, it was like, hey, he was one of us all along. Like it seems so unnecessary. I feel like, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's how it really happened, but I feel like in the real life story it's probably a bit more drawn out and not as immediate, because, and part of me is like, you know, if that's the rule of the mob, like why did they just kill Al Pacino right then and there? It made no sense that like he went home and then got a call later. Like I didn't like the ending.
What doesn't make sense is if you're putting the pictures on the pool table, then why aren't you arresting them on the spot?
Exactly. Well, I think the pictures that they had, from what I recall, those are all pictures of
him graduating the school.
Yeah, they're not of the mafia people.
No, but that's telling the mob guys that, hey, we had an FBI agent wired up here.
We have more.
So we have stuff against you. Yeah. So that if the mob's like, if you have stuff against me, if I'm in the mob and your FBI's coming and putting shit on my table, if you have stuff against me, why aren't you arresting me right now?
Yeah. What did you think, Marco?
Yeah, so I think the convenient parts that you guys are pointing out are kind of what like makes this movie fall just short of being really, really good. This is one that I hadn't seen since college. Like, so it's been, 10 years. The relationship obviously between Pacino and Depp, like that's what makes the movie, and kind of reminded me of two of my other favorite, like, I'm big on the gangster or mobster movies, the ones that are a little bit more untraditional. I would say like The Departed and, well, Goodfellas is pretty traditional, but just where it's like the linchpin is this relationship between these two guys. So that's, what I really love about it. The tension, Zach, like you said, obviously with Training Day being one of my favorite movies, like you got to have that tension there ultimately for this to be successful. Michael Madsen, I know, John, you were saying you don't buy him. I think he crushed it. Like I think I definitely bought him in the role, and shout out to Paul Giamatti. Yeah, shout out to Paul Giamatti. I think he was like a great character actor. Right? Oh man, so I don't know, just really strong movie overall, but just short of being really, really good. But the performance by the two leads kind of carry it for me.
So a couple quick points for me. I felt like at the beginning of the movie, I agree at first that it did seem a little rushed. I'd never seen this film before, and so I had watched the trailer when we did the movie change over the weekend, and I wasn't all that stoked to watch it because the trailer for it wasn't very good. And then I put it on, and it reminded me immediately of Johnny Depp's casting in the movie Blow. I loved the movie Blow. It's, I think, one of his best movies of all time. Definitely a good watch if you guys haven't seen it, but I liked that in the beginning of this movie, they kind of alluded to the fact that I think Johnny Depp's character had already been casing Lefty out a little bit. He already knew what made Lefty tick, and he knew how he was going to kind of get in with him. And I think that was kind of represented on him, typing out the notes later, got in with Lefty, Horsecock, whatever his name was, all his different aliases that he has. But I also think that there was a bit of a blind spot for Lefty because of his son. How his son was, a drug head, and I think he was really disappointed by his son, and I think what he saw in Johnny Depp was another son, somebody who he could love and respect and kind of show the ropes to and all of those things, because his own son was such a wasted opportunity as kind of what he seemed to look at him as. So I think there was a little bit of like, again, the story was rushed there a little bit, but I think there was enough in the background to maybe allude to why they were able to do that. One of my favorite scenes in the movie was with Paul Giamatti when he was asking, what does forget about it mean? And Johnny Depp kind of goes through all the different ways you can say forget about it. And that made me laugh. I thought it was awesome. I love again, it's cool just the way of speaking and how you can make that work for you, right? And so I thought that was a really, really cool part in the movie. Then as it got a little darker and the tension started to kind of grow, I really didn't expect that scene of him sawing the guy's leg and boot and everything. And when they shot that guy in the basement, that was kind of messed up. Like, it got really bloody quick there for a couple minutes, which was different. But I think one of the things that I liked about it and what stuck with me, at least closer to the end of the film, and sorry, Dean, I don't know if you want to mute me, bud, but at the end when Pacino's character, or Lefty, he knows that he's getting what, called out, I think is what they kind of referred to it as, where he expects he's going to die, right? And because he's had trouble with money over the course of his life in his film, and we see that a lot in the film, I thought it was a really powerful scene when he was, saying goodbye to his wife and kissing her goodbye, and he knows he's going to die when he leaves or be incarcerated, or he's not really sure, I guess, of his fate, but he takes all his jewelry off and makes sure he leaves the jewelry box hanging open slightly so she obviously sees it, so she's not left without money. And to me, that just, it stuck with me. I don't know what it was. It made me feel like it had some gravitas or some weight to the reason for why we watched the whole film to begin with. And then knowing, like you said, about the $500 check at the end was just such a slap, because, he did develop relationships with these people, and it made me think a lot about undercover work. You must, I can't imagine being an undercover agent in any type of situation where you do have to infiltrate these people and you do have to build their trust, because once you build somebody's trust, you do get to know them as people. And even though people make monstrous choices and they make really bad decisions, they're not always necessarily bad in their heart, right? And I think that was what we got to see with Lefty, was that he made some bad choices and he'd gone down this path and he made his bed, but he still had a heart. And there was still love there, and that was really hard to watch. So I thought it blew me away. This movie, I did not expect that I was going to like it as much as I did. And John, I'm glad you selected this one, buddy. It was a good pick. So I really liked it.
Sweet job to have a job like that. Can you imagine?
Crazy. Crazy.
Marco, what's our movie of the week?
Son of a gun! I didn't come prepared at all. I did not.
Fucker.
I tried to give you the warning.
Oh yeah, you did. And I thought it wasn't. Give me 1 second here.
I'll give you 10 seconds while I address a comment. 2 messaged earlier. What's up with the Blitzway Instagram post? I made a post earlier today on Instagram at the Everyday Collector. Blitzway featured in GQ magazine, guys.
Why?
First time. Can you imagine that? Wow.
I can. For what?
Just their marketing, like Gifts for Men or something. I think that. Let me see if I go to the post. It said Gifts for Men or something. That's pretty cool.
So what statue, or just the whole company was a Gifts for Men?
It was. It showed the Batman statue. Let me see.
Very interesting. I want to show this picture real quick. This is a picture of Lefty, and holy shit, the casting is spot on.
I think so.
For Al Pacino, it's crazy. That's spot on.
So good.
So fucking good. While John's finding that, let's see what we got next.
Did you get a movie, Marco?
Yeah, I do. So, and stop me if we've already done this one, but The Departed.
Okay, I think it's on my Netflix.
The Departed.
I just checked. It's on HBO Max, so hopefully it's there in Canada as well.
Sure.
All right. Well, let's watch that next week, and then we'll see what's all about. Dean, let's say thank you to the Patreonies, the pillars of the network, the peeps that keep us going.
Yes, huge shout out to Sean Fear, Ian Seaby, Renee Mendez, Eric Mariscal, Quinn Aguirre, Lemur Hernandez, King Louie, Mark Pearson, Paul Schreiber, James Colley, Equan, Chris Valencerina, Ben Thomas, Chris Letty, David Jones, Sam Gist, Daminator, Joao Bretta, Sweet Sweet Danny Lee, Deanie Martin, Stephen Kratt, Big Ol' Fern, King Zach, Caesar Mariquin, Mark Phillips, Lisa Martin Bomonsky, Rick DeGregorio, the Everyday Collector, Ricardo Valdez, Jose CZ, Erwin Azucena, The Illustrious Rainer, Alad Morgan, Tukothri, Wah, Derek B., Carlos Saavedra, Matt Clevenger, Seth Tucker, CC3PO, Scott Smith, Dalmaton, Bo LeBoyd, Jimmy James, Stephen Percha, Sean Usby, Scott Bradley, Steve and Maria Stanley, Eddie Manzanares, Louis Bennett, Chip Perrin, Jimmy Hernandez, Gigi the Judgmental, and Brenton Palmer.
Bunch of angels. Thank you guys for your support. In May, we have two things going out: the Bricks and Brews Hollow sticker and a CW Pog. Everyone will get one random common or chase Pog. If you're in the top tier, you'll also get a full sheet of unpunched Pogs while supplies last. And yeah, it's definitely a great month there. The D&D dice will be shipping out very soon. Just got the bubble mailers this weekend. Got to package everything up and get everything labeled, so my apologies for the delay. Unfortunately, the black bubble mailers that I wanted were a bit delayed in arriving. We do have 3 tiers for Patreon. The Sweet Angel tier, which is $5 a month. You get stickers sent straight to your door and access to over 115 episodes of Ox After Dark. The $15 Certified Crispy Certificate tier, you get figure fix assistance, the certificate, and stickers sent straight to your door. And we have the $25 What a Guy tier, which is the deluxe Pog set and doubles of all the stickers we send. So 3 great ways to show your support for the network. As far as YouTube channel members, we have MojoZ78, OG Fan, Absolute Irwin, Bema, Test Just One, Mark Pearson, DK Avenger 702, Ben Thomas, OMFG Rick, Justin Harass, S Beam, Paul Schreiber, Andres IB, Andrew Gibo, Daminator, CC3PO, Sam Gist, Lemur Hernandez, Thomas Clark, and Carlito. Thank you guys for your support. If you want to join the YouTube channel members, you can click that link there. You get access to loyalty badges and emojis for 99 cents if you're a Patreon member, or $2.99 if you're not. Once we get enough members there, we'll add the I guess the John emoji. That seems to be the one that's winning out. As far as the network goes, we have CW Live, OFAC, Small Talk, After Dark, Bricks and Brews, The Ringcast, Live and Let Dice, Pose Wars, and Collectors Club. It is Mother's Day this weekend, so I guess it was a conflict of interest with some things, so we're going to move Pose Wars to June. So stay tuned for that. We got some cool stuff coming up for Pose Wars. And then this week, I believe it is, remind me, OFAC? Am I right there? OFAC. And we also have After Dark tomorrow, and then Club on Friday. So should be fun. And then I believe we're doing a Ringcast soon. And also, if you haven't listened, Bricks and Brews and Live and Let Dice were this past weekend, and there were definitely some pretty good shows there. We have TeePublic. If you guys want to support us on TeePublic, there you can check us out. We have lots of different designs there. Shirts start at $13 when they're on sale, and they're pretty high quality t-shirts. John, can we read the social media slide, please?
Of course. On Facebook, we got Collecting Weekly. We also have Collecting Weekly Auxiliary, Instagram at Collecting Weekly, and at Collecting Weekly _clips, where you can hear our latest clip about Ben and Nuts. We also have at the _everyday _collector. Guys, be sure to follow these social media posts, pages, posts, whatever.
Shout out time. Do you guys have any shout outs that you want to give?
Shout out to all the mothers this weekend. Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Shout out to all the mothers out there.
I'm gonna give a shout out. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it's my dad's birthday today, so shout out to my dad. Very
Happy
cool.
birthday.
Gonna hopefully see him this weekend, so
happy
really
birthday.
excited for that.
Shout out Michael Mann for listening to the show and sending me the Batman. Much appreciated. Love that.
Shout out to all the Latina MILFs out there.
Jeez.
Are they in the
shout out to Baby Girl 707, unrelated to the last shout out, but
always
shout out.
I was gonna say shout out to Cuervo and to Sean, and also to Mario and to Eddie. You know, meeting them in person, all like great people. So Eddie was the one I was most questionable on, and he ended up probably being the best guy. So, but no, everyone was just super cool. So shout out to this community.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid.
When he's sleeping.
When he's sleeping, he said.
Forget about it. Ben, do you have any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the support. Even on my little channel that I've got going on here, I think I'm at like 88 subscribers now, so I'm getting close to that 100, which is kind of exciting. So I've been having a ton
URL,
of
baby.
Soon, yeah. So I've been having a ton of fun talking Star Trek with people and my comments and everything. So like, I like the comments. If you guys watch the videos, definitely leave something because it always gives me a little something extra to do at work when I don't want to think about work anymore. So I definitely appreciate all the support and all that.
If we do a playback, I might do a clip. But the second that Ben said Star Trek, Dean yawned.
Wow.
And I think I turned off my camera. So.
You guys are terrible. You guys are
Beat me up, Scotty.
That's fine. All the Star Trek fans, they can come to my channel. I'll talk to them there. They all get some support. It's all good.
Now he's taking Star Trek fans, Zach. You hate to see it. It was bound to happen.
Hate to see it.
It was bound to happen. Come on.
No, I'm just kidding. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in tonight in the chat. Booming show, and for all the support on the network. We love you guys, and hope you guys have a good finale for Moon Knight. For those that watch it, hopefully you guys have a good May the 4th. A very exciting day for the Star Wars nerds out there. And I love you guys. And I'm Zach. I'm Dean.
I'm sorry, I was me.
I'm John.
I'm Dean.
I'm sorry.
Too busy drawing. I'm
learning.
Dylan.
Till next time.
Jeez, that was the worst.
Unbelievable.
No, but I'm Ben.
Kickstart it again, Zach. Start it again with it's amateur
I go
hour.
last.
It's amateur
You're right.
hour.
That was all Marcos.
Come on.
Fuck up.
John had never said anything. I was waiting on him.
Well, I thought I'm
I've
Zach.
been doing this for 200 almost.
Oh my goodness.
215. Anyways, I'm Zach.
I'm Dean.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm Marco.
And I'm Ben.
Catch you on the next episode.
Bye.